Welcome to this week's episode of It's All Fun and Games, the official Gamezo podcast. I am Dan, head writer at Gamezo, and this week I am joined by the second coolest dude I know, Ross. Ross, how are you?
I'm the first coolest dude you know.
Well, you know.
100%. 100%.
I count myself.
So, are we at like a solid 30 frames per second yet?
We have not dropped a singular frame.
Okay, well, we'll see about that.
Knock on wood. If you are listening on one of the many podcasting services we are on, just know that we do on Sundays stream from Twitch. You can get that link from gamezo.co.uk, our Twitter, everywhere. If you are watching live and you want to listen back later, we're everywhere podcasts are. Go click the button that means nice things. Leave a review. We appreciate that. It ranks us higher. And yeah,
I can't even listen to this more than once.
Yeah, me either.
I hear myself talking. I'm just like, ugh.
Well, that's such a normal thing. Like, people hate how they sound. And when I do the other podcast, I record it all by myself. And a lot of the times I'm stopping and clipping and going back and listening, and it's like torture. If I spend an hour putting together a 25-minute podcast and I'm going back and listening and clipping where I'm umming and awing or things don't make sense or the volume's off or something, it's by the end of the hour, I just don't want to be on this planet anymore. It's like I don't want to listen to my voice that much. So it's all good though. It's all good. So we have an agenda. It's the normal agenda for now.
We have an agenda.
That sounds horrible. We're here and we have an agenda. The agenda is gaming news. We have a main topic. We have some esports news, and then we'll talk about what we've been playing. And I have a whole lot to say on that.
Or we'll forget it.
No, because I have a lot to say on what we've been playing. For the first time in a long time, Ross, I've put in like 10 hours into a singular video game over the last 3 days. So I'm having a blast. If you are listening now, you might hear a little bit from one of our sponsors, but if you're watching live, you get to avoid that. So, on to the gaming news. That's where
Did you record the commercial thing without me?
I did by myself.
That's fine. That's what I wanted.
Paul was on me about it. So, it gets
Listen,
injected.
I'm the one with the free schedule. You can talk to me whenever. You're the one that's doing 11 bajillion things at once.
Excuse me?
So
12 bajillion?
Don't act like it's my fault these things get done, because I'm here always waiting.
I know. What ends up happening is at like 11 o'clock at night, while my wife takes a relaxing bath and the kids are finally asleep, I grab my Yeti microphone and I'm like, where's that thing Ross wrote? And then I shout it into the microphone and then I send it off to Paul. And
what do you think I'm doing at 11?
I know. That is the yelling at
Playing
Tom.
Games.
Yelling at Tom usually.
No, avoiding Tom.
According to my Discord. Speaking of Tom, right into the gaming news.
Oh my God.
This is the most beautiful thing. Okay, so we have a friend, Tom, mutual friend, acquaintance, person in our lives. I don't want to speak for Ross's opinion here. And he always uses these sketchy websites to buy his keys for Steam. And one of those sketchy websites has confirmed that they at one point, and probably more if we're reading into this correctly, have sold stolen Steam keys.
I mean, they all have.
Like, yeah,
it's very obvious.
When a game is always $10 less on a particular website, they're either buying them secondhand from people and reselling them, or they're stolen. So,
yeah,
that is what it is. So, I already forget, what was the game?
Factorio.
There we go. Yes, Factorio. It's the better version of Satisfactory. Anyway, that's my opinion, and you can have it. Okay. But it was a funny story because, and we were talking about this before the podcast. Basically, G2A said we can do an audit and figure out if any of these were stolen. So the publisher or the developer said, okay, we want to do that, and they went out and they tried to select some auditing firms. And G2A was like, they don't meet our requirements. So G2A probably offered the sketchiest back alley auditing firms.
My cousin Vinny auditing.
Exactly. And the publisher was like, no. But what blows my mind is the publisher or developer, they agreed to G2A doing an internal investigation. Now, props to G2A because they came out and they said, no, you were right. A few hundred of those keys were stolen. There you go. We did our due diligence. But I just thought it was sketchy website, obviously selling some sketchy stuff. Won't use an audit firm determined or chosen by the client, effectively. does their own internal audit and then actually comes out somewhat truthful. Interesting stuff. But this segment is specifically for Tom. Stop buying stolen gaming keys from these websites.
Well, these websites in their very nature are shady because it's just, if you look on a website and they're selling like FIFA Ultimate Team points for like a discounted value, chances are it's not legit. Essentially these sites work out. So like, let's say if like I go on Humble Bundle and I buy a set of games and I have one of those games already, so I just have a key floating around. The point of this website as it is written is, oh, I have this key for a game I already have. Let me sort of eBay this key out to someone who wants to play the game, maybe doesn't want to pay full price for it, but like I'll get a cut for it or whatever. So I'll give them the key, they'll pay me some money, so I'll recoup whatever I spent to get the bundle on like Humble Bundle or something like that. But what happens is people use this maliciously. They'll do things like steal credit cards and then use those credit cards to buy a bunch of keys. So and then they'll sell those keys at a very like low price, and they'll make profit because it's stolen regardless. Who cares? Same thing with FIFA Ultimate Team points. They'll do things like whenever there's a giveaway on Twitter or Instagram, they'll make a bajillion accounts and try and get the key from the giveaway. They'll pretend that they're a YouTube personality and go to this developer and say, hey, you know, I want a key to do a video on your game, and then they'll just sell the key. Mm-hmm. So it's just the amount of ways that people can sort of utilize this gray market for evil, not very good.
Yeah, it's the same thing people ask all the time, like, what's the deal with these scammers always wanting me to buy them an iTunes card? Or
yeah,
but it's the same thing. It's less traceable. I can now go and use that iTunes card and sell that for 60 to 70% on one of these gift card exchange markets, or whatever the case may be. It exists with the keys. Now, I think it's kind of a cool idea, these sites, like, if working in a legitimate way, it makes sense. Yeah. But like you mentioned, anything that's kind of that gray market-ish is always set to be kind of sketchy, right? Like I do, sometimes I like watches. Sometimes I'll buy my watches from a gray market dealer if I can't find them elsewhere. But there's like one or two that I trust because they have authenticity and tracking of where they got it. So a lot of times what happens in those instances is these companies go out and they buy out like jewelry shops that are going out of business. Or if a company like, let's just use Rolex because it's well known, they have a bunch of extra stock and they're coming out with the latest version of that watch, they'll buy them at a reduced cost and then sell them 10-20% below MSRP. But in that same world, the same thing happens. People knock over jewelry stores, they sell them to these guys. Like, so anytime, like you said, there's these gray market areas, there might be a few that do it really well and legitimate, and they're offering a good service, but there's always going to be an overwhelming amount of people who are going to try to take advantage of that. It's unfortunate.
It stinks. I think the problem was that these people, whenever a key was stolen or whatever, and these people got their credit card back, they would then refund everything, and then the refund actually hits the developer of the game and not the people that are
selling it.
It wouldn't affect G2A because G2A is just a middleman saying, hey, you have a key that I bought on Steam. Here, give me money for it. So when it gets refunded, the money comes out of the Steam purchase instead of, G2A because they're just sort of the middleman. So now all these people are just getting, like, let's say our boy Leith or whatever, all of a sudden he wakes up and he's got 10 refunded copies of his game. And he's like, what happened? And it's like, well, these people bought a discounted code off G2A. And now they got their credit card back and then they're refunding everything. And it's just, I don't know. And then you go look at Steam and you see, oh, all this stuff's been refunded. Why? I don't know. They didn't even play the game.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that part of the equation either, but you're right. Like, and imagine running a business too. It's not just, oh, whatever. Like, let's say my $20 game, I get 50%. It's probably not that good. Okay, I made $100 today because I sold 10 copies of the game, and then that $100 gets taken back. do that at scale. Be a business who takes that money, takes that cash flow, pushes it back into the business to do more marketing or to pay debts or whatever the case may be, right? And now maybe that was $1,000 instead of $100, right, of profit that you have refunded. I mean, that it's not just an inconvenience, right? Like it's hurting their business. They might not exist if this kind of continues on. So
Well, when I was looking into it, a lot of indie devs were like, this causes us so many problems in terms of like customer service. They have to figure out if something's actually a legitimate purchase. They have to, worry about like if they buy this thing off G2A and then they ask for a refund and they go to them and they have to figure out if it was a legitimate purchase or something like that and it went to the right person. It got to the point where a lot of developers were just saying like, please just pirate our game. Like I saw a bunch of developers say, I would rather you pirate our game than buy it off of a key store because it costs us so much money, time, and effort dealing with these sorts of things.
That's crazy. That's like a level of I don't have words. Like I have no words. Like for a developer to say like this game I've put all of my heart and soul into making, just please steal it instead of doing this is just, I mean, it literally took the words out of my mouth. That's how bad it is. Yeah, that's crazy.
But the problem is it doesn't really hurt the AAA studios that much. No. It does, obviously, but it hurts the indie devs the most. Yeah. And the indie devs are only like 8% of their actual revenue. So all the indie devs are just like, hey, just stop selling your keys. And it gets worse because now G2A does things like they buy sponsored ad space off of Google. So again, I was seeing another indie developer that whenever they Googled their game, I think the game was called like Descenders or something like that. It was like a biking game. So if you Google the name of the game on their phone, on like a phone or something like that, the sponsored Google ads will directly lead you to GTA where G2A where they don't make a profit off of it at all.
Wow.
Just because they bought the sponsored ad space. So like that, the G2A store comes up before the Steam, before their own store, before Humble Bundle, before any of that stuff.
Damn, dude.
Like it actually sucks.
Like I respect the grind, but geez, man. Like
yeah, it's rough.
That's tough. Wow. Yeah, it was funny. Like I read the story, and I knew it was pretty bad. But like some of this other stuff, the more I start to think about it, I'm just like, wow. Did
you read the press release from G2A?
Yeah.
Where he's like, okay, we're a legitimate business, and to prove it, I'm gonna pay 10 times the damage.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, it doesn't fix the problem.
No, not at all. But like I said, I respect them. There was obviously some sketchy stuff going on in there with like not being able to find an audit firm that both parties like just go to Deloitte, like use one of the big one, like use a big one, go PwC, go EY, right? Like just do one of the big audit firms.
Yeah, sure. All those audit firms I know off the top of my head, Dan. Thank you.
Well, just
par
for the course for me. So anyway. Man, that could have been the topic of the show, man.
See, that's what I was like. What do you mean we don't have a big topic? We got plenty of big topics.
We got so many big topics. Let's go to one that's not big.
About that for a while. Oh yeah, I really don't care about this one.
Let's move on to the next one. This next one's not really a big deal. If you're a fan of Kerbal Space Program, bad news, my friends. Kerbal Space Program 2 is delayed until late next year.
Late next year?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, big
fall
drop.
2021. I thought it was fall 2020.
Did I mistype that? I thought it was...
No, you probably didn't because like I said, I don't care.
I don't care. I know like this is another one of those hey, coronavirus is delayed. Yeah, it is 2021. I did not mistype the notes.
How does coronavirus delay your game for a full year?
I don't know. All I know is incoming, the PAX reference. They had a massive booth, okay, and there was a line around that thing nonstop, and people were excited to see and hear more about it, and it sucks. But yeah, we're gonna look, buckle in. It's not the first or the last one. Like it is what it is. So
it is what it is.
All right, that was a quick one. We had a juicy one, a quick one. It's like a compliment sandwich. That's what we're hitting with. We got a news sandwich here. I'm sorry if I'm extra fidgety. My back's all jacked up, so you're gonna get a bunch of
old man pains.
Old man pains. I threw my back
old
out.
Man gamer pains.
So you're gonna hear a lot of creaking chair, and if you're watching, I'm gonna be moving a bunch. All right, we all know what time of year is coming. Annual release of franchises. We're almost there. So that begs the question, Ross. What are we getting for our next Call of Duty? Because the rumor on the street
did
is...
we do World War II already?
7 times. 8 times. Did we do Modern Warfare? We did. Did we do Future? Yes.
Okay, we did Future. Okay, what other? Did we do? We can't do like old stuff because that's super boring. There's no guns.
Yeah.
Like, we can't do like Athens or any of that stuff. No guns.
No,
can't do that.
Civil War.
Civil War. Ooh, I don't think a Civil War game is.
Oh yeah, right we had this conversation. We had this conversation around Assassin's Creed. Damn, dude. Yeah, not politically, not the right time.
But once we are out of this political time, oh boy, Call of Duty Civil War.
Yeah,
can't wait.
I always, it's funny. I always go to that time because it's like historically, it's the most interesting time to me. Not necessarily the Civil War, but the westward expansion and the industrialization that came after it, and the whole Wild West thing. There we go. Wild West game. Don't think that's coming. Red Dead already got the market cornered. They're doing fine. The word on the street is we're going Cold War. Speaking of things that are very politically touchy right now.
Less so, but
it's much less, but still a little bit of a...
We're used to blaming the Russians for stuff anyways in these games.
It's our go-to. It's
par for the course.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about a Black Ops Cold War era. I mean, there's some cool stuff you can do with that, right? Like there's a whole subset of CIA stuff going on, like some spy stuff. Like obviously the Cold War, there was no...
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you make a war game about a Cold War? What do you...
So it's going to be a lot more special ops, spy...
Declassified.
Yeah, type stuff that's going to have to go on there.
Okay. So a lot of made up stuff that didn't actually happen.
Yeah, isn't that what happens in most of these games?
The last game, they blamed the Russians for doing something that the USA did, so...
It's easier to blame the Russians.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Bro, like, we just need to go to war with China and just, like, get it over with. Like, get the war with China going, because do you know how many good Call of Duty games that thing is going to produce? Like, that war is going to go on for, like, at least, like, 20 years, right? And then, like, by year 30, we're going to have, like, Call of Duty China 2, Call of Duty China 3, like, Call of Duty China HD Remastered Collection Definitive Edition with DLC pre-order bonus. Like, it's going to be off the chain.
It's going to be so good. Well, you remember they tried to... which game was that? They tried to do the... watch out for South America. South America is a bigger threat to America than... Do you remember which one that was?
No.
That was it was either... I forget which one it was. Yeah, the whole thing was like... Maybe it was not Advanced Warfare. I forget, but the whole thing was like... Basically, there's these oil-rich countries in South America, and like if they advance and take it to America, it would be...
Like Wakanda?
Yeah.
Wakanda's coming for us.
So let me call.
Oh my god!
I think like Argentina Call of Duty.
Argentina Call of Duty.
Yeah.
That's not a game, Dan.
Yeah, no, I think that was the whole thing. I forget. If you're in the chat and you want to, or send us an email or something and tell us how stupid we are. Oh, was it Ghosts?
Ghosts. Oh yeah, the Call of Duty game everyone loved.
Yeah.
The highly successful Call of Duty Ghosts.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, I think it was Ghosts. But anyway, there was one of those titles. We were still at GameStop when it came out. I remember they were like, the whole trailer was literally like, blame Venezuela or Argentina or like one of those. So,
man, that's really gripping for straws.
Yeah.
Because you got North Korea, you got Russia, you got China. What are the other, like, the evil countries that always do bad in, like, all these games? Like, that's all I can think of.
Yeah, those are the big...
Those are the 3 big ones.
Those are the world powers that you have to kind of pick from.
So it's like how Call of Duty has, like, 3 different studios that are working on a game, and they just rotate every year or whatever. So it's like 1 year we're doing China, and then the next year we're doing Russia, and then the next year we're doing North Korea, and then it rotates, and then we get China too.
So you need to go work for Activision.
Bro, I just, like, sign me up, man. I'm ready.
What's funny is you mentioned that, but the new Jack Ryan series actually did the same thing. Season 2, the Middle East, generic Middle East country. You have to fit that in there. You have to fit that in there.
Badistan.
Yeah. So, the Jack Ryan show did that. They did like a Middle East terrorist plot, and then season 2 they were going to Russia. But like halfway into episode 1 of going to Russia, they're like, "Nah, we're actually going to South America." I'm not a military intelligence person, obviously, or I wouldn't be doing this podcast. I guess there's some validity to any oil-rich country being a problem for America. I wonder why. All that oil, it just makes them bad. We have to invade. So, all right. Now, on the same topic of Call of Duty. How excited are you? Are you on the internet blowing up about Price coming in Season 4 of Modern Warfare as an operator or playable, whatever? Are you excited? Are you gassed?
He's already in the game. He's the announcer.
It doesn't matter, but like he's going to be like playable now.
Okay, but if I play as him, who's the announcer? Is he going to be announcing?
I don't know.
I don't. Okay. I can't even see my character. It's a first-person shooter. But they could make me do it in like a skeleton jumpsuit for all I care.
Damn. So you don't spend hours like in Warzone customizing your outfit, looking cool.
They only give you like 4 options for each character. What do you mean customizing?
You can customize. You can mix and match. What if you did like jungle camo for your pants, but then like desert camo for your upper? Like that would be custom.
You clearly don't play this game.
No, I don't. I don't enjoy it. Anyway,
that's not how that works.
Moving on from that topic. That was, see, again, it's the new sandwich. We had G2A, big topic. Kerbal Space Program, small topic. Black Ops Cold War, big topic. Price coming to Modern Warfare, small topic. I'm going to feed you another small topic, though. I was gassing people up. Here comes the big... No, it's another one. Mafia Trilogy, we all asked for it, obviously. Is kind of out, but not really. So they're kind of remaking 1, giving it that Crash Bandicoot, Spyro trilogy kind of treatment, right? Yeah. It's a much older game. It was PS2. It was actually... I think
it was 2002.
Yeah, it was a fun game. I'm pretty excited about them remaking that, actually. Then they kind of up-res 2, gave it the HD 4K remake, and then similar with 3, which...
They gave it the whole bunch of glitch treatment is what they did.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything about Mafia 2?
I have, yeah.
Edition? Oh, yeah. It's bad.
It's real bad.
So, it's rough.
Anyway, you have the option of buying the whole trilogy, or you can go out and you can buy the individual kind of remasters. 2 and 3 are out. 1 comes out in August because that obviously it takes much more lead time. So if you liked Mafia... And like I said, I enjoyed the first one. I'm genuinely excited to see that come back and hopefully look like a semi-current gen game. I'd even settle for like a PS3, late PS3 looking game. They're good. They're like Grand Theft Auto Light, basically.
It's getting the full like remaster treatment, so it's gonna be. I think it's like all new voice lines, all new everything. So it's essentially a new game.
Awesome,
but. What I don't understand is why doesn't this just all come out on the 28th of August? Why do they need to push out 2 games that are already out? Why do they got to release them again? Like, are they that hurting for money that they're like, whoa, hold on, what do we got? What can we release? Mafia 2, is it ready? No, is it? Or like, can we? It's like the meme of can we up the graphics on level 7?
Yeah,
and then they push it out. And it's just, I don't, just put it all together. Like, why are you releasing a trilogy when only 2 parts of it are available? I don't get it.
The only thing I can think of is like either cash flow or for sales prediction, right? It's kind of almost in the same vein as pre-order.
But like, you get people already being made anyways.
Yeah, but you get people hooked today and you give them something to play already, and then they're more likely. And I think a lot of this decision and a lot of these decisions we're seeing are based around the situation we're in right now with coronavirus. I think if we weren't all locked inside, like looking for things to kill our boredom, they wouldn't be releasing 2/3 of the trilogy at once and they would just wait. I think this is
Maybe.
the like, please play our crap now and
Because 2
stick around
clearly
in
wasn't
August.
ready.
So,
2
but
very clearly was not ready for
yeah,
this release date.
yeah. But I'm excited. I'm glad they're also giving the option to buy them individually because honestly, again, I just want to play Mafia 1. So I'm happy to just go
So
purchase
just wait
Mafia
and play Mafia 1 when it comes out on
Yep.
August 28th.
That's what I'm going to do.
And then
plenty of stuff
that's
to play until then. So all works out. All right. This topic was already interesting to me based on prior conversations. But then the video you showed me directly before this makes it like super interesting to me. So I think way back in probably episode 1 or 2 of the podcast, we discussed, it was whenever we talked about Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
We discussed like the whole mobile market in China and how they rip off all these games and stuff like that. And you had showed me some clear rip-offs of Rainbow Six Siege. And so I saw this topic come up, and it's that Ubisoft is suing Apple and Google for basically allowing a game that was a clear ripoff of their title into the app stores. But then you showed me the video, and I just want to be very clear that this isn't like a similar to Rainbow Six Siege game. This is, they took the code from Rainbow Six Siege, downres some assets, and ported it to a cell phone completely illegally, like IP theft 101 ridiculous. And Area, what was it called? Area 50?
Area F2.
F2. Area F2. Go look up the videos. It's insane. I think the biggest portion of the story here is what the actual F do the curators for the App Store at Apple and Google do? Do they exist?
No, they don't.
Is it an algorithm?
Like, look in the App Store, Dan. Like,
I
there's
have.
no.
But I've also uploaded a mobile app to the App Store for distribution and seen the amount of time it takes for them to quote unquote review it. I've done the same for podcasts too, obviously, right? Like they're reviewing everything, but air quotes, big air quotes. I don't know how anybody even remotely looks at that and goes, "Oh yeah, that's fine."
My other favorite mobile game, Valorant.
Valorant, yeah.
And it's like a hunting game.
It's like, what? So, it's a huge ongoing issue. IP theft is big. It's actually not that hard to kind of get to source code of stuff. So it's, it is what it is. Like,
did you look into who made the game by any chance?
I did not.
It is a company called Kuka with a Q. And would you like to take a guess who they are owned by?
Tencent.
ejoy.com or whatever the Chinese website ending is. And then do you know who has a majority stake in eJoy?
Tencent. I'm just going to keep guessing Tencent because it's a top.
Alibaba.
Ah, yeah, that's
Alibaba Gaming.
There you go. We're going to talk a lot about this when we hit the main topic. But like the way the internet works in China is going to be like incomprehensible to most listeners because the internet for the majority of the planet looks almost exactly the same. And then inside of China, there is a whole completely different bizarro internet that exists. And they have no idea. It's crazy. So anyway, but Alibaba's a massive company in China. You can buy 10,000 rubber balls from them for like 10 cents a piece.
Nice.
Or other stuff. They also have like data centers and stuff too. So anyway.
Oh, that's exactly what I want to do is put my data center in China.
You have no choice. And we'll get to that. If you we'll get to it. We'll get to that.
If you make a game for China, you have to have data centers in China.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop a ton of knowledge about China.
Oh, great.
China. All right.
China.
Valorant's getting released. Yay. Moving on. That's like that. It's almost like it's like a non-news story news story. It's like, hey, we've been playing the beta.
Funny. It was funny because the director made a video and the video starts off with, man, we've all been impacted by COVID-19. We can't really do anything. We're stuck working at home. I'm wearing my slippers. It's a rough time. And they're prepping you for we got to push the game back, guys. Sorry, and then they're just like, so we're releasing it in 2 weeks. ah! Yeah.
You know, like, get hype.
And I'm just like, yay.
Yeah.
Can't wait. And
You and everybody else.
They teased a new agent
Well, that's cool.
as well. But they teased it because they put like a splash image of all the characters, and then in the very corner you see like the foot of the new character, and that's it. So you can see that they have some pretty cool shoes, and that's about it.
Dope kicks. That's it. Yeah. That's where it's at. So I hope the 3 people on the planet who didn't get their beta access can now enjoy the game in June.
Yeah, pretty much.
We had I forget who it was, but we had a writer get beta access like last week. like he wasn't even trying anymore, and they were like, "Here you go, you have access." So,
hey, I can finally write that story for you guys now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I put this one in here. It's just looping back. So Tenet, which is a Christopher Nolan movie that's coming out. It's like a secret agent stop World War III from happening movie. It could be the next Call of Duty game. We don't know. They released the trailer in Fortnite.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, so Thursday they were like, here you go. Fortnite trailer. Boom. Done. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting to loop back into the conversation we were having a few episodes ago about the metaverse, the Fortnite Epic Games metaverse.
Well, it's because there's no like theater for them to do like a coming soon thing.
Yeah. So it's like, what are you going to, and there's no live sports. You can't do like a Super Bowl ad, right? Like,
yeah. And there's no big like TV thing. So just put it in Fortnite.
Yeah, it is.
That seems like the best course of action. Just put it in Fortnite. Get all those Zoomers watching it. It's got guns. It's relevant.
What do you think it would cost us to do a trailer for the podcast in Fortnite?
Probably $11 billion.
Oh man, I'm just shy. I got 10 billion.
I don't even see no Fortnite kids with their like lightsaber pickaxes and their weird looking characters all looking at a big jumbo screen of you and me like, welcome to podcast and Gamezo, and we're in Fortnite today, guys. Everybody do a default dance for me. And they're like, woo 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 woo, default woo. I can't deal with this, man. It's cool. It's Fortnite. Great. It's advertising. Interesting. I don't even know who this Christopher Nolan guy is. Is that his name?
Yeah, you don't know Christopher Nolan? He did the Batman trilogy, The Dark Knight.
I did not watch a single Batman movie.
All right, we're moving on before the internet roasts Ross.
Did he do like a James Bond movie?
No.
Okay, then I don't care.
Okay. The real question is, did he do a Kingsman movie? Because those are the superior.
What is a Kingsman?
You've never seen the... you know what?
I've literally never heard of Kingsman. What are you talking about?
It is a fantastic newer movie series. It's basically James Bond on steroids. It's just better, in my opinion.
It's like James Bond Advanced Warfighter? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Okay. Exactly. Get in there. All right. And then, hey, look, the last news topic before we rant more about China. We're getting the PS5 event in June. Do you think we'll actually see one?
I hate news topics like this.
I know.
I hate news topics where it's like, we announced that we're going to announce that we're announcing a thing later on.
Have you ever had that at work where you have like a meeting to discuss planning a meeting?
No, I have meetings where like an hour and a half of it is just people trying to get in the Zoom call because they're all boomers and they can't mute the microphone on their laptop. So it just like the sound echoes over and over again. Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah, I've had a few meetings where it's like, hey, we have to have this meeting to discuss this topic. And then it's like, well, we need to peel it back. Let's have a meeting before that to discuss how we're going to deal with that meeting. And I'm like, can we just have them... If we just did a 45-minute meeting and hashed it all out at once, it would save us an hour and 15 minutes across the two meetings. Like, I just don't...
No, Dan.
I don't understand. Stop being efficient with your time, Dan. Find a new... Anyway. All right. That's the news. That's the news. And we're sticking to it. But we have a main topic, and it involves China. Again, this is the China cast.
China!
This is the China cast. So, yeah, Tencent, who you may or may not know, you should know, is going to be releasing their own, or starting their own AAA studio, right? Presumably.
They're trying to start their own AAA studio, and they're doing it by hiring the guy responsible for the illustrious games Battlefield Hardline and Halo 4.
Ooh, those were loved.
Yeah, well, my personal favorite. remember one time when Battlefield Hardline came out and I took the picture of me throwing the copy of the game in the trash.
Yes.
I said where it belongs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's about how I feel about this. And yeah, they also pulled some guy from Kojima Productions, but we don't care about that. That's not newsworthy.
that's not real
No one
news.
cares about Kojima anymore.
Exactly.
After you put out the walking simulator game,
I
who
kind of want to
cares
play
about
that game and just like listen to some Zen music and just walk.
That's good. No,
Yeah.
it's definitely good. But I mean, I'm American, so I can't shoot anything. Nothing blows up. It's not interesting to me.
Stop making me think about philosophy and stuff.
Making me think.
So I pulled up some information just in general that I thought was interesting. So Tencent's huge in China, right? They've been around since the late 90s.
They're a publisher.
Yeah, so they're they do a lot. They're an internet company. They're an AI for advertising company. They're a gaming company. They have their little Steam competitor that actually has, at the time when it released, had more people than Steam, just because China's such a huge market. But they have been in games for a while, and I'm just going to run down, I have it up on my phone, but I'm going to run down some of their investments. So the big one everybody knows is they own 100% Riot Games.
Yes.
Right. And this was part of the big deal with the kernel level anti-cheat is like, but China owns the kernel. They're hacking my computer. Anyway, they also own Oh, you cut out because we do that mic thing.
Still didn't stop cheaters, though.
Yeah, never does. But they own 5% stake in Ubisoft.
Yep.
And that was interesting because they got that stake from Vivendi, who failed at a buyout. They have an 80% ownership in some New Zealand company that they make Path of Exile. Okay, so that's a good chunk.
Yep.
84% ownership in a mobile game developer, Supercell, which makes sense because mobile gaming's huge in China.
You know what Supercell makes?
No.
Clash of Clans.
Oh, there you go. Massive game. Boom. They own 40% of Fortnite in the metaverse that's wrapped around that. Let's see. Another Glue Mobile, 15% ownership. 5% ownership of Activision Blizzard. 5% ownership of a Swedish publisher called Paradox. 9%.
Paradox Interactive. That's the Magica game.
Yeah. Oh, Magica. I forgot about those games.
Yeah.
Those are so good. China, give me back my 9% of Magica. They have a majority ownership in a Switzerland-based company, Miniclip, who I've heard of, but I have I don't.
Dan is the Miniclip, like the 2002. You're on a website playing Flash games. Miniclip.
Yes, that's where I knew it from. Thank you. I was like, I know this. I was reading through it earlier, and I was like, I know who Miniclip is, but
I don't know what it is.
I was like, why? I was like, I know the name, and I'm having like nostalgia, and I'm wrapped around this.
Next thing I'm gonna know is Tencent owns Newgrounds too. Like,
I love Newgrounds; they're the best. They have full ownership of Funcom, who did what was that? The MMO with it was like the Supernatural MMO.
Oh, Secret World.
Yeah, so that's them. They have a minority share in Platinum Games.
Damn.
And a minority share in Jaeger Development. So,
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I'm looking them up right now just to see if there's anything. Spec Ops: The Line.
Okay.
So
cool.
Dreadnought and The Cycle are like their stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to run down that list because, like, them being in games is absolutely not new, right? They've been doing their own thing with Flash games and other publishing for a while.
Yeah. They've
invested very heavily in either purchasing or investing in pretty big studios. I mean, they own Riot. We talked about the Valorant release.
You won the internet.
Yeah, they're good. And they have 40% of Fortnite, where like everybody's doing concerts and releasing their movie trailers. So, like, they're doing okay, you know?
They're doing okay. But they want more, Dan.
Yeah. And
they want more. What they have isn't good enough. They need to keep going and keep getting more and more and more.
Yeah. Hey.
So now they are making their own studio, which they have not done yet.
it'll be interesting because, and this is where I thought most of the interesting stuff would come from, is so, like I mentioned, they've done very well in China, much like Alibaba has, because China has very restrictive rules about internet access and technology, right? So you were joking about if you want to have games in China, you have to have Chinese servers. If you want to do business in China in a lot of different ways, you have to have a local data center in China, and you have to give the government access to the encryption keys so that they can go and look at whatever's on those servers whenever they want, right?
Yeah.
It's really tough to break into the Chinese market because you have to fundamentally give up a level of security and privacy. And if you want to work on a global scale, that's tough. And I think that's why they have gone forward and done so much investment in other companies, because it's very different to have Riot Games sitting in California that you own and you basically manage as the money people effectively from China versus having your own studio. So I guess you brought this up like relatively close to the beginning of this as the topic. Has there been any information about like where they're going to put this? Is like, are they going to use?
It's Los Angeles.
Okay, so they're kind of keeping that model, which is good. It's good for a few reasons, right? A, there's limited talent, really, right? And LA has a large amount of talent in development, game design, art, voice acting, etc.
Where all the hippy dippy art people go.
Exactly. You got to make it. I'm gonna go off on a side thing. I saw a thing the other day that was actually pretty funny, and it was like LA is so populated and everybody's trying to make it that just living in LA will get you like 10,000 followers on social media. Like literally just living there and talking to people, like you can have a big social media following. And I was like, that's so funny.
I live in LA.
Yeah. So I live in Boston. None of us want to talk to each other. We'll cross the road just to not have to say good morning.
God, people in Boston won't even follow for follow. How am I supposed to build a social media legacy here on the East Coast? I'm going to LA.
Damn right. Okay, so that's cool. And honestly, I think it's good. I don't think there's anything like, we've discussed this, right? Making a AAA game is expensive.
Yes.
It's hard. It takes a huge team.
You're getting so close to my point, and I want to see how close you get.
Okay. That it's not necessarily bad that these big companies want to come in and throw a bunch of money at it. The problem is if they are not immediately profitable off of it, that they're just going to shut the whole thing down. It would be my fear. Like if Tencent came to me and they're like, hey, Dan, you're awesome at this thing. We want you to help us make this game. It's a AAA game. You have the unlimited resources of one of China's largest companies.
Yep.
Make the game. And then the game comes out and Gamezo gives it an 8.1. Like, and it only sells, I don't know, 1 million copies instead of 100 million. Right? Like, okay. Does Tencent stick around for that? Do they keep going? Right? Like, I guess my concern or my thought around this would be how much of this is an investment versus like a long-term play. Right? Is this just a profit center for them? And history would say that as a large business, this is going to be aimed at being a profit center. Or is this just the next logical step for them to do their own thing?
You like got super close to what I was going to say, and then you went to like Antarctica.
Yeah, well.
But you were hot and you got super cold. But
I'm curious to see what your point was.
Before I go off, I think from a business perspective, you eliminate the overhead because you're the publisher. So you're the studio and the publisher. So I think like whether or not it's profitable doesn't really matter because it's like the same thing when you go into like a department store and one section is just like you sell it at a loss, but you do that knowing that you bring people in and then they buy the stuff that you sell at profit anyways. So you kind of break even. So I don't really think them not being profitable in game development is a big problem because A, you're Tencent, and B through Z, you're Tencent, and it doesn't matter.
But what about AA?
Okay, well, AA, you run games in China from like not, I'm trying to think of the word, like not a political sense, but like you are the main person who runs what's allowed, what's not allowed. because they're sort of like the overseers and all that. Because I guess Tencent works with the government, and they sort of Tencent runs the Steam. Like the Steam in China is like a
Yeah.
Tencent run thing.
It's their platform.
Yeah, and they decide what is allowed to come in and what isn't. Tencent runs the Chinese publishing for games like Overwatch and PUBG and all that stuff. So they're in control of literally everything in China. But what I was gonna do, and my main concern about this whole thing is it ties into the concept of games not being priced effectively right now. So like
I was gonna go there, and then I didn't want to go on a completely different rant about the pricing of games, so that I just
okay,
like
no,
put my foot.
no, but
and
it's
give
not,
it
it's not what you think. It's not what you
Okay.
think, though. It's not what you think. It's not, oh, the Chinese people are undercutting us. It's what is China gonna do in terms of their working, like, how am I gonna word this to like make this not be a disaster? Are these people gonna work exclusively in America, or are they gonna have like a team in China? Because what I'm thinking of sort of the humanitarian aspect of it, of in China, people are working 12-hour days, 6 days a week.
Mhm.
So if you have these people working, around the clock, just essentially using them as an exhaustible resource and putting out a game and putting it at like a $60 price point, but you've done like super mega bizarro crunch time on people that you kind of see as irrelevant because you're China and you have like 11 bajillion people and you can just rotate people in. What does that do for the game industry as a whole when they're competing with Tencent, who are just kind of have like the undead army of game devs and can just like pump out a quadruple A game at maximum profit, selling it for $40 a piece because they're just not paying the people that are working. And here we are in America having a huge crunch crisis. Not even just America, just like around the world, where we're having a crunch crisis, or we're cracking down on like Rockstar, we're cracking down on all these other like game dev companies because they're not paying the people and the people are working way too much, and they're putting out kind of like a product, and it's okay and it's good, but it's just kind of a mess.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking. It was a few things, but that was one of the reasons I was asking about where they're going to be based, right? Because
Yeah.
I've worked for a company where we had like 50% of our development in China, and like to your point, the amount they could get done in the amount of time that like the US based developers were getting things done was way different, and it had nothing to do with talent level. It had everything to do with labor laws.
Yeah.
So, and same thing. I've worked at companies with teams in India, and when you can literally pay people a 6-month bond and they have to live at the office, you can get a lot more done in
Yep.
a shorter amount of time. But yeah, you're right. What does that do to the games industry, right? So I'm going to talk about the game I've been playing later, but it's a $40 game, right? It's a lot of fun. There's some jank to it, but I'm okay with that because it's just a $40 game. But to your point, if they could make that Final Fantasy VII remake for $40, like, then that's a $20 game in my mind as a consumer, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's just not good for the game industry. We have like CD Projekt Red coming out, and they're like, we're extending how long we're gonna make this game. Cyberpunk isn't coming out because we just don't want to crunch our people. And then like 2 weeks later, they're like, we literally can't get this game out without crunching our people.
We're crunching them, but we're crunching them longer.
Yeah. It's just like, it's crazy. Or like the Gearbox story we covered and we talked about, right? Hey, people have bought houses with the bonus they get off the game. Don't worry about those 120-hour weeks, and then they don't get an extra penny out of it. So yeah, that could be a huge issue. And it goes back to the whole thing too, like having a parent company that can just dump, like if you take the two things we were concerned about, right? You're concerned about the people as a resource, right? An expendable resource. And I'm worried about a company that can just huck money at things. If you take a company that can just huck money at unlimited resources, and they can literally work those resources into the ground,
it's like a weird juxtaposition because they're gonna chuck money at the people over here, and then the people back in China, they're gonna just kind of treat them like dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And then like together they're just gonna pump out like this crazy product.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna get, like you said, you're gonna get, and that's gonna be so like, can you? I'm just imagining this future, right? 3 years from now, 4 years from now, we get Tencent's first, whatever the studio is gonna be called, right? We get that game, and it's like, opposite of what I said, right? Like, which is it. The game doesn't do well, Tencent pulls out, right? Opposite of that, the game does phenomenal. And then you have like the Kotaku article, the Gamezo article, the IGN article. We're all covering like, oh, we got the inside scoop. Some guy from the LA office was talking about the insane crunch they were working. They were working 70-hour weeks. And then some poor dude in China's like,
I would love that 70-hour week.
There were 300 of us working 140-hour weeks. What do you mean they were only working 70 hours back in America, right?
Yeah, there's like 3 people working on the same computer like simultaneously. Yeah. Like one dude's on the mouse, the other's on the keyboard. The other's kind of like overseeing them, and it's just they're in like 120 degree. Like we're laughing, but this is actually horrible.
I know.
They're like in like 120 degree building, and there's no windows. It's just a cement block that they built like Fortnite style, like a 2x2 or whatever they call it. And they're just sitting in there with their crummy little computers that are just all Chinese quality made, and they're pumping out games for 12, 14-hour days, 6 days a week. It's actually scary.
Yeah.
It's actually scary.
Yeah, because then what? I don't know. There's so many issues we could talk about out of this, right? Like, people in the gaming industry, first off, they're overworked everywhere, right? Crunch is real. I mean, crunch is real in any software development thing. It's just crazy bad in game dev. But there's already like an imbalance in pay scale, right? So for instance, I saw an entire Twitter conversation the other day about QA engineering, right? And how like people will be like, why don't you just go become a developer so you can actually make a living instead of being a QA engineer, right? And it's like, why are the people who spot all of the bugs in the software code getting paid minimum wage when the people writing the buggy code are getting paid not as much as you probably think anymore, honestly, right? And I'm not talking about playtesters. There's a difference between playtesters and QA engineers. QA engineers are people who are trained in software development, who specifically make sure things function the way they're supposed to by doing different input validation, etc. But why are actual trained engineers getting paid the same amount as the playtesters? Why are playtesters now a combined job between QA engineering and playtesting, right? And
Money.
And then how many of those people are contract versus? So you literally have somebody who went to let's imagine this scenario, right? And then we can extrapolate how bad it's going to be for Tencent with their army of Chinese.
A man got the 4-year degree from DeVry University.
Not even. Let's say someone went to a local school. Someone went to the UMass system, got a 4-year degree in computer science. They go, Rockstar has a Massachusetts thing, right? They go to Rockstar, they're fresh out of college. They're like, I want a job working in the gaming industry. I had a 3.5 GPA. I know computer science. I know all the stuff. And Rockstar turns around, they go, cool, we'll pay you $10 an hour for 6 months. You're going to do all the QA engineering stuff, plus you're going to put your hands on this controller and just play the same corner of this level. And then at the end of the 6 months, we're going to get rid of you because we just need to QA the game, right? So that's the unfortunate reality of working in games in America. Like, like you said, what could it be?
Well, you do that, and then the next play is you go make your own indie company. You say, someone who worked on Rockstar game makes their own game, and then that's when you make the killing. And by killing, I mean you make a whole like $200 because no one buys your game.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the entire gaming industry is built, and this topic has evolved into a completely different thing, but the entire gaming industry is built on moving all over the world or country, right? Either the country you're in or the world, taking 6 to 12 month contracts so you have enough known studios on your resume to get a comfortable job.
Yeah.
Like, that's the unfortunate side of it, is you're going to go be a contract developer for 6 years, and then maybe, if you're lucky, you'll get a solid position at one of the bigger companies who have layoffs every 5 years, and then you'll be junior, and then you'll be back
until they get bought out by Tencent.
Exactly. So rough stuff, man. The gaming industry needs to do better. and this isn't going to help. Apparently, this isn't going to help.
Not when people are buying G2A keys for $5 a pop for their $70 game.
Yep, it's all one big circle. It's broken. I'm running on the platform for president that I will fix the gaming industry.
There's someone already doing that.
Is there really?
Yeah, there's like a Twitter account, and I forget the name of it, but it's this guy that's running for president. Like all of his platforms are like eliminate loot boxes. Yeah!
That's awesome.
I think it's like some really like cringy name, like the gaming president. Hold on,
it probably is. I've seen the one that's gone around. Is it the gaming president?
It's Gamer Prez 2020.
Awesome.
Oh, it's by Hard Drive. Those are the people that run that account.
Oh, okay.
Let me skim. The federal government should take over Movie Pass. Like these are his tweets. You will be able to reply to my tweets. Campaign is an open source that's built by the people. Like they're all like gaming themed tweets. The executive branch is OP. We need someone to balance our checks and balance. Like they're all like gaming themed tweets. Like they're pretty funny.
That's awesome. I love that. I've seen the one going around that's like, when I'm president, all games will have a I'm a busy adult mode that re-explain like the tutorial when you log in 6 months later. Which I need that. Like I went to pick up Spider-Man again. I got like 80% through Spider-Man, and then I picked it up like a month ago, and I forgot like how half my gadgets worked. I was like, oh damn it. So it took me like 20 minutes of just swinging around finding random people to fight to figure out how the game worked. And of course I'm towards the end, so every encounter at that point is difficult.
Yeah.
And, so anyway, I digress. Anything else you want to talk about with Tencent in their
there was
crazy
they have a game that they're already working on, but like it's a different company that's making it. So again, they have like a shooter that's in the works. I forget the name of it, but it essentially kind of looks like The Division, but with zombie sort of things. It begins with an S. I forget the name of it. I was just looking at it earlier. It's like Separation or something. I know. I can see you like typing.
Yeah, I'm googling.
If you Google Tencent AAA game, it'll pop up.
They partnered with Black Shark Phones.
What is that?
Yeah, it's a gaming phone brand.
Oh yeah, gaming phone because India and China.
Yep,
it's their main platform of gaming.
Synced.
Yeah.
Off Planet.
Yeah. It's like a third-person shooter. It kind of looks like it's like base building and stuff. And but you know what this actually reminded me of that I wanted to talk about real quick was Amazon put out like a random game the other day. Like Amazon Games put out like I don't want to say Overwatch clone, but it's like in that same vein. It's called like Crucible.
Crucible, yeah. I have a friend who's been playing that, or someone who used to work with me, and is enjoying it. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It came out of nowhere. I kind of want to play it just to see what it's all about.
It's free to play. I mean, we can try it, but it's of the same idea of like, what does a company with unlimited resources do when they make a game? Because it looks okay. It's just I don't know if like from the design aspect, it's like a good game. It's like polish wise, it looks fine. Like it looks fine, plays fine, seems cool. But again, I have unlimited money. I might not be the best game dev, but god damn it, I have got enough money to fund a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting because Amazon Games has been around for like a while, right? And they actually even have like
they're working on the MMO.
Yeah, but there's a section of like AWS, right, which is specifically like their infrastructure as a service or platform as a service around like making games on their cloud basically. So I didn't know that was Amazon that I saw that game got released and I was like, who released this? When like it just kind of came up out of nowhere.
Amazon Games.
There you go, nailed it. All right, Ross. Esports news. TSM announces their Valorant team.
Esports.
TSM announces the Valorant team. Unfortunately, they're going to have to play from the old folks' home, where the internet speed might not be too good. We talked about this a little bit before. It's a group of former Counter-Strike players, and they're all literally like our age. And I don't want to like pretend like we're like the oldest people, but there's if you're watching, there's lights in the beard over here. I'm not exactly like at the peak of my reflexes.
There's definitely not a 2 in the number.
It might be just on the other side of the three. But yeah, it is what it is. They had been playing together basically the whole time Valorant was out. They got picked up as TSM's team. Yeah, we'll see how they do. You know, it's hard because it's like on one side, on one end of the equation, I'm like, you've got people who have tons of experience in the exact style of game that Valorant is, and they've been doing well in whatever competitive scene exists as of today. But on the other end, like, things are just harder when you get older, man. Like eyesight goes.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that.
Reflexes go.
I'm not buying that.
You're not buying it?
I'm not buying that you can't compete in esports at a certain age.
No, I believe you can. I believe you can compete in esports forever. And that's why I think this is interesting, is because there are real legitimate physiological changes that become a disadvantage to some degree. But most of esports most games in general are about craftiness, know-how. Like you
Work
can make
ethic.
up a lot.
Work ethic. It's number one.
Yeah.
Work ethic.
How many hours can you put in? You know, how well do you know your maps? How well do you know different things? And yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I joke. I make the old folks home joke because they're literally our age. Like, I'll be rooting for them because
they're old guy.
Yeah, well, because there's that entire thing. It's like, oh, you're past 18. You might as well give up on trying to play games competitively.
Damn.
Like, look, my reflexes might not be the same, but like I know a lot more about a lot of things now. You know, I also have the money and the wherewithal to actually focus on certain things. You know, and in a lot of ways, I think you're almost primed. In some ways, you're almost primed when you're older to be able to make a push. It's almost like you have to be young or like past 30. That's like the window. You know, 'cause either you're so young, all you have to worry about is school and whether or not your mom bought you Pop-Tarts, you know, or you're our age and you have like, you know, expendable income and you can spend your time doing what you want, you know. But there's that whole like middle ground where
you can't mess up like Dan and get a wife and kid. You got to do what I did and just like live alone and be fine and have tons of free time.
If that's
and expendable income, that's the real play.
Yeah, if you want to be the old guy esports guy,
yeah, gotta be me.
That's the trick.
But my problem is now, if like, so I'm trying to get back in Siege, right? So if I go and I start looking at teams, I start finding teams with like people that are half my age.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of sucks. But I mean, like, I'm 31. Like, I'm not like 50, but still, like, all the teams are like, we're looking for 16 plus, and I'm just like, oh, I hate y'all so much. But okay, this is the first instance of everything we were saying about Valorant, how it's just going to be a bunch of washed up Counter-Strike pros, and here is our first washed up Counter-Strike pro team.
Mm-hmm.
It is TSM, and I don't understand this from a brand perspective, because when I think TSM, I think cool, trendy YouTubers and really hyper talented people. Like, I think of like TSM Myth and TSM Bolo, and that's what I think of. I don't think of TSM old guy who's, you know, been a T2 player in Counter-Strike for 2 years. Yeah, it just doesn't fit the brand. Like, when you think 100 Thieves, you think like cool Supreme guy. Like, when you think of FaZe Clan, you think of like, you FaZe up, you know, we're wearing the Supreme shirts and all that stuff. And it's like, when I think of TSM, I don't think of these people. But
you don't think of us chatting about our 401k investments,
yeah,
you know, on a Saturday over a beer. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people are just rushing to get a team. I think that's what it really comes down to. I mean, we had that discussion, right? Ninjas in Pajamas was like, we're taking our Paladins team. It was like, okay, I love those guys, you know, like, cool. But yeah, I don't know,
man. I think they kind of just got picked up because they were a static and they weren't willing to let one person go, or, you know, have one or two people get picked up by a team that had to be as a whole unit. So I think that's just sort of like the lazy way of picking up a team. Like, oh, you're a team, okay, here you go.
Yeah, instead of
actually scouting individual people.
Yeah, and having chemistry.
It might work out. Plus, they're all Counter-Strike players, so they're all probably cracked out on that game, anyways.
Exactly. They know exactly which pixel to click and swing on while moving. Meanwhile, I've got to like
How many
slow
teams do
walk
we
to
have
crouch.
now? How many pro Valorant teams do we have now? There's Sentinels that has like one player.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
NIP,
NIP,
TSM.
TSM.
Um,
I don't really know any
there
other.
was like one more, I want to say.
I don't know any. Like, can this game just come out and just like start the esports scene so we can?
They've already had like tournaments, and I feel like they've been just scouting grounds, like
Yeah, they're always
combines,
scouting around.
basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see what it looks like, and I'll be rooting for Team Old Guy all
Yeah.
day.
I'm buying my TSM jersey right now.
Yep, go Old Guys. All right, hey, we're back to China. The next news. This is
China.
China.
This is the China episode.
So Team Secret enters a multi-year deal with Huya, which is basically China's Twitch, is what I got from it. It's like their Twitch YouTube.
There's like
streaming.
3 of them in China.
But this is like the new hot one.
So this is the mixer of China.
Yeah.
Because there is a Twitch in China. I forget the name of it. It's like Douyu or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But here we go. You know, they've got, like you said, $1 per person.
Yeah.
Immediately allows you to buy, you know,
literally everything,
whatever you want. So we'll be seeing that. So you know, I'll be curious to see what happens if I want to go watch Team Secret. You know,
I think this is more a play from Team Secret than from like
Huya.
China or something like that, because this is primarily a move. I'm assuming this is primarily a move like Dota 2 related, because Dota 2 is not big here. It is big everywhere else in the world. We do not care about Dota 2 right now.
It's like soccer. Football,
if you look at the Invitational 2019, if you look at the rosters, out of like 18 teams, only 5 players were American, and they were like scattered on teams. There wasn't like an American team. There wasn't a single All-America team or America with a Canadian. Like
the classic American with a Canadian.
If I go on like Wikipedia right now and I look at the teams from the Invitational 19, I see a bunch of flags I've literally never seen before. And I have no idea where these countries are. Like, hold on. Like, I'm gonna pull this up real quick. You know, if I go on Wikipedia, we go on the Dota 2, I type in the Invitational. I spelled Invitational wrong. This is great. Invitational. The Invitational. Dota Invitational. Can I not spell Invitational? Like, is that
you must have?
Am I struggling?
You must have not.
Okay, I am not. I'm not doing this right. Okay, so anyways, I digress. It is big in China. Well, yeah, Dota is big in China. There's definitely Chinese teams that compete, I mean, at the Invitational. But I think this is more secret, just kind of like pushing their brand to China. Because outside of China, there's not a whole lot of like global brands that go into China, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like China has their China orgs, which are, you know, it's the same org in League of Legends. It's the same org in like whatever else. Like there's a couple of them that I can think of. And when I think of them, it's just like, oh, all their teams are Chinese. It's like Invictus Gaming or something like that. And like Royal something. And it's just, I think it's just Secret trying to be a brand.
It makes sense. That's the way to make money. You know, we've seen it over and over. You know, 100 Thieves, Cloud9, like they all just become FaZe. It's when the brand
they're trying to become FaZe.
Just become.
Okay, I found it.
Become the brand.
Okay, here, let me name some random countries that I found.
Okay.
Bulgaria is kind of like I know Bulgaria, Malaysia, Australia. Yeah. Okay, we got some guy from Israel. What is this? Bosnia and Herzegovina. Okay, I know that one. Belarus. What's this one? Bolivia. Okay, we play Dota in Bolivia. What is this? Oh, Pakistan. Okay, yeah, I know that one. Okay, Thailand. All right. Now, what is this flag? North Macedonia?
Yeah, Macedonia.
There's a North and a South Macedonia?
I didn't know that until now.
Okay. All right. So we got the usual suspects. We got the Germany, the Sweden, the Finland. Okay, that's all China. What is this one? Oh, there's a guy from Lebanon. Okay. Oh, this is Teamliquid. There's a guy. Okay, so Teamliquid. When you think of Teamliquid, it's like an American company. I mean, it's American. Okay, so their players are, well, this is the old team, but Jordan, Romania, Bulgaria, Lebanon, and Germany. And then they ditched Liquid and they became Team Nigma, which is it's kind of a weird name for us in America.
Yeah,
Because
that's that. I was like, Ross, what are you gonna say,
yeah.
dude? Careful, careful. Yeah, that's wild. I was funny because Andrew and I were having a completely different discussion about sports last night, and it was the same thing. He was like, when was the last time an American, besides Marco Andretti, did something big on the world stage in motorsport? And I was like, oh, such and such a motorsport team's American, and they won Le Mans in 2000 whatever. And then I looked, and they had 2 German drivers. So it's like it happens all the time with us. So makes sense. Let's see what else we got. Oh, LG Esports.
And when I saw this, I thought it was Luminosity Gaming.
Oh, okay. So you get
So I was
excited.
like, okay, Luminosity is doing a thing. Like, I feel like they've already been doing it. And then I go and I see it's LG, like the phone company.
Yeah.
So did they just not get any sort of guidance into this? And they said, hey, if someone Googles LG Esports, you're not going to come up.
Apparently not, though. I'm sure they can. I'm sure they can buy the backlinks and get the SEO and everything to be.
They got to rebrand.
Dude, but yeah, this one was just weird to me. It was like, LG, the company that makes like washers and dryers and TVs and phones and stuff, is launching an esports channel.
Okay. This tells me that they're probably just going to make monitors.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you could have just made a monitor. You don't have to make a whole gaming channel.
Yeah. I don't know. That was just my like added to weird investments of companies trying to like get the esports angle. So.
I know Samsung does esports because Samsung is Samsung Morning Stars, which is like their esports team, and they sponsor a bunch of random teams. Like I think for Rainbow Six, they have like their team is a team that plays in like the Italian leagues, which no one watches.
I watch it. I watch it.
I watch it because I'm obsessed.
All right, what do we got?
You can't say that you're a fan of a game until you're up at like 3 and watching like Rainbow Six Thailand.
Rainbow Six Thailand, Lord. Yeah. It's it's tough. It's funny like people who like other sports like football and and a lot of motorsport is not, unless it's NASCAR, is not set to the American market. Like a lot of sports are just not, and esports being so global, it makes sense that eventually you're going to have to get either logged in somewhere or prepare to hop on and watch ESPN The Ocho at 2 a.m. to catch some events. All right. I love this one. This is a quick one, but we're at the point where we now have esports summer camps. Little Jimmy, he can either go to pitching camp or he can go to Immortals Cross Nerd Street Gamers virtual esports camp and get taught how to League of Legends or whatever. My kids too. I can do the like upper middle class white people thing where I talk at work around the cooler about my kids like skills camp I'm sending them to.
Yeah, I sent my kid to Fortnite camp. He's playing with Ninja right now. It only cost me $150 for the week, but man, little Jimmy is going to be turning those 90s faster than all of his friends.
Dude,
I think that's a Fortnite phrase, turning 90s.
I have no idea. I honestly don't. I can tell you though, as someone who works with a lot of upper middle class people who love to talk about the skills camp they send their kid to, I would probably slap somebody in the workplace if they discuss one of these. Like, it's cool. It's a legitimate path. I already don't want to care. I don't want to hear about your kid's golf skills camp. Please don't bring up their video gaming skills camp too. That's all.
The real play is we need to just start our own gamer camp.
Yeah. The rad camp.
These parents don't know the difference. I could tell them, we could be like, Dan is a retired 10-time Halo champion. And we could just put a controller. No, hold on. This could be the cover art. It's just like you holding the controller like this, and you're like, just come aggressive. To gamer camp. $150 a week. Be there. For lunch, your kid gets 1 free packet of G Fuel. Like,
oh man,
God, this is just like, I hate to use the word, man, but it's just it's kind of cringy. It's kind of cringy.
We live in the world of like the Ty Lopez like get rich internet marketing schemes, right? Yeah. So it's just like it's so easy to just like turn out your own course with like minimal expertise.
Yeah.
And Now, I'm not, to be clear, I'm not saying that's the case with this particular summer camp.
We don't know. They haven't said any of the pros that are going to be there.
And again, that's why I'm not saying anything specific with this camp. But it just brought up that bigger topic of like, you know,
like,
what are we doing? What are we doing? You know,
who are Nerd Street Gamers? I've never heard of them before.
I don't know. They were in the story. All right. Moving on. Washington Justice from the what a great name from the Overwatch League are starting to rebuild. They let a bunch of people go, and then they signed one of the people from that team we called the wrong name the other week. The Vancouver Titans. We called them like the Bigfoots or something.
No, the Vancouver Giants, which is like a minor league hockey team.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, they released a few players, and then they picked up Janu. I don't know, man. Who was one of the players let go from the Titans, and at first when we were talking about this, it was like, that's weird. The Titans let go of the roster because of the whole South Korea thing or whatever, but it turns out like the majority of the Justice's roster is
Korean. So this is why city branding in esports is the dumbest thing ever, and it doesn't work in pro sports. It only works in pro sports because it's just a bunch of old people who have just been watching the sport forever, and they just know my Boston Red Sox, my New York Yankees. None of those people on the team have ever been to Boston until they were assigned. Nobody cares. Half of these people, once they're off the team, you think they're going to stay in Massachusetts where it's like 12 degrees Fahrenheit like during the winter and it's snowing all the time? No, they're going to be in Los Angeles with all their money. They don't care about you. And then they're like, yo, my team, my Boston team is very hardworking, and they're just like me, blue working American. I go to my construction union job, and I come home and I get yelled at my wife, my dumb kids who hate me. But man, my sports team is really working for me right now. They're trying hard. They're grinders. None of them are overpaid sissies. And it's just like, I hate city branding in sports so much. And then they bring it to Overwatch League, and it's like, the team based out of the capital of the damn country, it's all Koreans. And like, I don't care, but it's just like,
yeah. What's the point? What's the point of doing the city branding other than the marketing spin of trying to get people like, what are we, Uprising in Boston?
Yeah, we're the Boston Uprising. Which is such a dumb name. Like, who cares about the Uprising?
I don't like, if I was watching Overwatch League, I wouldn't care where the city would, like, I wouldn't be like, oh, where's the Boston team? How do I associate with the Boston team? I would look for the players I liked or the play style I liked, or them playing a champion I like. Like, if a team has like, here's a great example. Kanga, which was like a team in the Paladins Premier League, they had a player who was a really good Bomb King player, so I liked Kanga because they had a really good player for the character I like to play. I didn't care that they were if they were from Boston or anywhere. It's just like, that's not the reason people
we don't care about that stuff. Like, our generation doesn't care. Like, I care about, do you have a cool jersey, or like, do you like, are you winning? Like, those are the first two.
Yeah, and the jersey's the biggest. Like, I look at the logos, I'm like, no, like, yeah. Anyway, we got a good YouTube clip out of that.
Another episode of just Ross hates Overwatch League, and he wants you to know.
I'm gonna like have a whole compilation on the YouTube channel where it's just
like, all the times I rail against the Overwatch League because I hate it.
It'll have 1,000 views within 2 minutes. All right, so this I love this next topic because it's the one I put a note in our show notes, basically saying this is a dumb topic, and then Ross added a note that it is actually the most interesting topic.
Yeah, so, what do you mean?
But Teamliquid changed their in-game leader.
You probably had to Google what IGL meant.
I know what an IGL is, bro.
You probably know what it means because I say it all the time.
Exactly, and I had to look it up. I had to look it up the first time you said it. So, at face value, this is just the other guy needs to focus on his gameplay because he's crap right now.
That would be Nitro.
And then this other guy, he's going to
take... Stewie 2K.
Yeah, Stewie.
Yeah. Dan doesn't watch Counter-Strike, so he doesn't know that Stewie 2K is one of the best players right now.
No, but the point is, I'm here to set up your discussion around this because to me, this was just some guy's playing bad. The other guy's going to do the job. But you had like this whole other take I didn't even think about, which is around the burnout related to how the season works in Counter-Strike. So, softball, go.
as I hit my mic. Okay, so this whole started out because Teamliquid's kind of on a slide right now. Their IGL Nitro hasn't been playing well. Now, if you have not played one of these games competitively or anything competitively, being the IGL or in-game leader is incredibly taxing mentally. So you're trying to play Call of Duty or Valorant or whatever, it's hard enough. Now, when you're trying to track everything that's going on from every single person on each team while playing the game at an S tier professional level, it is incredibly draining. So the thing was, Nitro was underperforming like very badly. So he said, hey, let me focus on just doing my thing. Let me just stare at my crosshair and shoot and not think about where the Molotovs are going, flying over into this site, whether they're doing a beat take or the fake in, or let me just play Counter-Strike. So they moved the IGL to Stewie 2K, which is probably like their best player. He's kind of like he's like the face of the franchise, sort of, I guess, for Liquid. And even he's just like, I really don't want to do this because the game itself is just so boring right now. Because he said we play every other day, and even if we make mistakes and we screw up, we don't have time to fix those because we literally just play again. So we're just kind of smashing our head against the wall and like flailing and playing games. And this comes off more recently, Olaf Meister from FaZe stepping down because of burnout. And then like a week ago, Glaive from Astralis had the same issue. So now this is just like a string of not older Counter-Strike players, but players who have just been like grinding for a very long time are now, hey, we're burnt out. So now these rosters are picking up like 6th and 7th players just to sort of like swap in as substitutes, which is cool, but isn't like fix the problem that people are playing way too much Counter-Strike right now, and there's no off season for these players, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I never understood sports with no real off season. I'm trying to think. Like, there's some that it makes sense. Like, you look at boxing or like mixed martial arts. It's like, okay, but you fight 2, 3, maybe 4 times a year. You kind of have plenty of time to work on things. Okay.
What about golf?
Golf has an off season.
Does it?
Yeah, pretty much all winter they're not playing.
Oh well, that makes sense. I guess it's snowing. It's an outside sport.
Yeah. So yeah, I could not imagine, and I'm not having the debate about is esports a sport, right? It is. Shut up. I could not imagine doing something at that level of let me peel this back even further. I couldn't imagine playing beer league softball with you every other day, with no off season. Like, could you imagine if we just went and played, like, drank a 6-pack and played softball twice a week, 12 months a year? We never ever stopped.
Yeah.
Never mind doing it at the highest level. That's insane. That's just insane. So I get why there's a lot of burnout. It's funny you mentioned that. I did want to bring that up. Like, just in general, there's been a lot of people just kind of stepping away, and kind of basically, I wanted to know what the deal with that is, but you dropped it. So it's rough, man. I can't.
Now, I don't really know Counter-Strike esports that well, but I think it's more of a function that there's not like one sole person in charge of esports for Counter-Strike. It's like all these different third-party companies kind of like vying for their spot by having like their own tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the way it works is there's like 3 or 4 different like big companies that put out S tier tournaments or whatever in terms of how they're categorized. And then the teams just sort of at the beginning of the year are like, okay, well, we only have time for this, this, and this. But then there's like pressure to do all the other ones and all the other non-S tiers. And then they have like leagues where you need points to go to this tournament. And then if you play in this one and you win, you automatically go to the end one at the end of the year. But if you're not first or second, you have to play in this other series of tournaments that maybe you might get into the 3rd or 4th slot. But then if you don't make it, then there's also a last chance qualifier tournament that you can play in and get that spot. So it's like, it never ends, man.
Yeah, you just gotta keep playing. I think like one of the big things, right, is Blast. I think is the one that
Blast is one of them.
I've been seeing a lot on. But
pull up my favorite website in esports is Liquipedia.
Yeah, they're the best.
I know a lot of people use Juke right now, but for what
No,
it's worth. I
Wikipedia
like
has the thing.
give me some Wikipedia.
They
Okay,
have the
so kind of
history. If you search, like if you just do a Google search for an esport, they're usually
yeah.
one of the top ones. That's the first that come up.
Okay, so let's look at upcoming stuff. Blast Spring Showdown June 1st. DreamHack Masters June 2nd, but that's like different regions. Such as so the start of Blast for this season or whatever is June 1st, and then the finals are June 16th. So you have like a week and change, and then on June 22nd is the Counter-Strike Summit, which you might get. Actually, you know what? Let me see what the carryover is. So let's look at the teams. Okay, so Teamliquid is in the Blast Premier Spring Final. And then okay, so they haven't announced like who's invited to the summit, but Summit invites teams, so it's probably gonna be Teamliquid getting invited because they're like one of the top ranked teams. And then at the end of August, like a month later, you have ESL 1 Cologne, which, oh, look, Teamliquid is right there. So these teams are playing like big S tier tournaments like every single week and every month.
Yeah, that's insane. I was just reading too. So Blast has had that rule where between maps, the teams can change a player out, so they can carry 6 players and change one out. And now, I think it was like, about 2 weeks ago.
Who's gonna do that?
Well, 2 weeks ago they were talking about allowing them to do it at halftime, like in a match. But I guess
that doesn't make sense, man.
Yeah, I think
it makes sense, but who's realistically going to be like at the end of a half? You know what? Just take me out, put someone else in, and then they're cold. They haven't been warming up. They haven't been playing with the team, and it's just like, who's actually realistically going to do that?
Yeah,
that's like taking out a quarterback out at like halftime.
I think it's kind of like a way for them to try to deal with the burnout a little bit. Like if someone's clear, like if we're playing and I'm like clearly just like, I've been playing 12 hours a day practicing plus 5 tier 1 tournaments in the last month. Yeah. And it's like, damn, Dan just doesn't have it anymore. Put Ross in. He should have been in there the whole time anyway. Dan can't aim. Why is Dan in a tier 1?
You know what it sounds like, Dan? It sounds like a we hear you sort of move.
It's our we hear you. We haven't had one. We hear you.
It sounds like a we hear you move. So instead of making an off season, we're just going to allow you to swap in a player at halftime, even though you're really not, because your bench player isn't as good as your main roster team.
Burn them out. Burn them all out. So.
Oh, well.
It happens. All right. The last esports topic is a pretty quick one. It's CDL related. So Pristini signed with the Huntsman. He was a Mutineers player. It was supposed to be a temporary thing where he kind of stepped aside, another player came in, and then when he was ready to come back, he was on the bench. Yay, that's the best feeling.
Literally what happened the last time I played competitively in Siege. I took a week off and I said, you know what, just let this guy play, knowing full well they were going to replace me with him. That was my way of saying I quit.
Oh, geez. So anyway, Pristini pulled a Ross, but not on purpose. But he went from the Mutineers to the Huntsman, and he has some history with some of the players there, having won some championships in the past. So,
United.
Hopefully it works out for him. That's that story.
Listen, I don't want to like build this persona of just like Ross being the bad guy that just hates on everything. But man, I do not care about a first-person shooter esport that's on console. I do not care.
Yeah.
It's cool, and like the branding is cool, and like Call of Duty's okay, I guess. But man, I do not want to watch people play on a controller. It actually hurts to watch.
Yeah, I know.
I've watched it once. I've watched one CDL play week, and it was fine. It's just they can't aim on a controller, man. Like it's so bad to watch.
It's so what blows my mind though is like, yes, if you go from like, I'll just use Rainbow Six because it's the one that I watch the most of, right? Or even Valorant, right? The ability to aim with a mouse and keyboard is ridiculous. But I'll be honest, I'm impressed by how well they can aim with a controller, though. I'm like
100%.
Like,
this is not to take away from them.
Yeah. I was even watching Alex the other day, who's played a little bit of Pro-Am and stuff like that, and he was playing on PS4, and I was like, bro, I would scuff those shots with the mouse. Like, you know, like, good on you. But if it was, you know, most of the controller players, if it was like someone who was halfway decent like you on a mouse and keyboard, it's not fair.
No.
It's not a competition. And even I see it, like, Paladins is probably the most cross system play I've done. And it's so funny. It's like, if you get into, I'm not even good at first person shooters, but you get into a gunfight with somebody on like Xbox and it's just like, easy. Like, get out of here. So, all right. So them's the news. Now we get to go on to my favorite part of the show.
We didn't skip it.
Yeah.
But it's more so because Dan is like, the agenda that he was talking about at the beginning of the show, his agenda was making sure people know that he plays games.
Yes. That's it.
And he wants you to know that he's playing this game Maneater.
I am. It's so good. So first off, it's a $40 game, which, like, I went on my PlayStation 4 and I was like, take my $60. And then they were like, no.
Is it only on Is it on?
No, it's on
PC,
PC as well. And actually, this was a really cool thing they did. They came out and they were like, look, we're on Steam, we're on Epic, we're on console. If you want to get it on PC, go to the Epic Store, download your free GTA 5. Don't pre-order our game. When it comes out on Friday, because it came out this Friday, use your $10 off coupon and get our game for $30. I was like, when's the last time you like heard of a studio being like,
it's because they make more profit off the Epic Game Store version.
Well, yeah, obviously. But but Tripwire's good. They did Red Orchestra. They did
that is a very good game.
A Killing Floor. Like,
Red Orchestra is a very good game.
They're a good studio, and the game's fun, man. Like, I tweeted out the other day, like, I always made fun of Far Cry for the Elder Scrolls with guns, the Skyrim with guns comment. But like, this game is literally like Skyrim as a shark. It's an open world RPG. There's tons of stuff to do. I'm killing apex predators. You can get upgrades to yourself. There's all kinds of hidden stuff to find. It's just fun. It's just super fun. I picked it up Friday. I think I'm 75% through the story right now. It's about 10 hours. Mainlining the story is about 10 hours. I basically 100%ed the first area though. So I'm probably 10 plus hours in already. Yeah, it's just super fun. There's some jank to it. I mean, I'm having some frame rate issues.
Well, you're playing on a console, so
yeah. But you can see it stutter, and I'm wondering, like, was it, you know, it was probably optimized for PC. I'm not running the newest PS4 either. It's not the Pro. Yeah,
I still have my launch day PS4.
I have the Uncharted version. I bought it when Uncharted 4 came out, and then gave Andrew my launch version. Yeah, but it's super fun. Like I said, a little bit of jank. So there's food, right? So you need to eat different stuff, and they have different, basically like minerals, fats, and proteins, and you can use those to upgrade certain aspects, and you also grow in size as you level. And then there's different stages of your life, which equate to like how fast you can swim, what your resiliency is, etc. So you start as like a baby and you end up as an elder shark. And then there's upgrades. So you can get like bone armor. You can get like bioelectrical stuff. You can get like poison glands. You can get amphibious organ, which allows you to stay out of water longer. So you can actually like jump across a golf course and eat people. The game's just like fun level, like 12 out of 10. It's just dumb fun. Like, it's just a blast. But like I said, I've done some stuff where like I'm fighting another animal, because there are some aggressive animals, other sharks, squid, swordfish, etc., crocodiles. And like I knocked one through a wall and couldn't finish killing it. You have like boss fights. So there's 10 different shark hunters, and it uses like a GTA system. So you get your threat up by killing humans, and then boats come to try to hunt you, and if you kill the hunters and destroy enough of their boats, you get an infamy level, and then like a boss shark hunter shows up, and then if you kill the boss shark hunter, you get a special skill. But then there's also, that's one way you can get special things you can add to your shark, but there's also apex predators. So if you do enough missions to clear out food sources in an area, it will unlock an apex predator, and then if you kill that apex predator in a fight, you get different types of upgrades you can do. And then there's collectibles, hidden things. And if you collect all the different collectibles, it gives you even further different style of upgrades to your shark. So you have like all these, there's just so much to do. Yeah, it's Skyrim with sharks. That's it.
Do you want to know what the main selling point was for me?
What?
That there's a SpongeBob reference in the game.
Is there really?
Yeah, the SpongeBob's house is in that game.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know where it is, but there's like a pineapple with like a door or whatever somewhere in the game.
You can find like there's a lot of funny stuff in there. Like a lot of landmarks you find are funny. Like I found a like a tiki statue, and it was like when the tiki bars are done with that theme and move on to the next one, they just throw it in the ocean. Like the commentary is hilarious. Yeah, the game's super fun. Well done by those guys, because I wasn't interested in it until I started seeing stuff come up on like my social media. I was getting promoted ads because I play all of their games probably, and it started to look more fun, and then I was like, it's just, whatever, I'll throw money at it and play it. Worst case scenario, Meg will enjoy watching it because she loves sharks, and then now I'm like 10 hours in and I'm like, I'm gonna 100%. I'm getting the platinum. I'm doing it. So review coming this week at gamezo.co.uk.
Okay. I don't know. It seemed like one of those games where it's just like, it's marketed towards people that are trying to be content creators so they can make their video, and then it just sells a bunch because of viral marketing, kind of like Goat Simulator did. Mm-hmm. But if it's like actually a good game, that's cool.
It's fun. Like I said, there's a little bit of jank to it. The camera sometimes, I'm like, why are you doing that? I've knocked some stuff through walls, whatever. But like overall, it's just fun. It's like just shut my brain off and just go hunting.
All right.
Go eating people.
That's fun.
Yeah. So good stuff. And the story's actually pretty good too. Like basically you start the game and you play as a full grown shark, and then the shark hunter kills you and then cuts you open, and a baby shark comes out, and you as the baby shark bite his hand off, and then he's hunting you and you're trying to grow and kill him as revenge for him killing your mom. And it just gets like more just insane. Like it just keeps ramping up, like there's going to be helicopters at some point. You can go out in the open ocean. There's going to be a giant squid, killer crocodile. Like it's just crazy. It just keeps getting wilder the longer I play it. So I'm hoping I have to take out like a helicopter at some point. That would be.
Do like a big free willy into the helicopter.
You can jump you can speed go and you can jump, so you can do like cool stuff. Like if there's a bridge, like a canal, and there's like a little bridge and there's a person on it, you can come and knife at the water's top, speed, jump, grab them, land on the other side of the bridge, and then you can dive underwater, and you basically choose when you chomp. So I can grab something, hold R2 on a PS4 controller, swim away, and then like launch it on my own time. It's like it's super fun. You can combo all kinds of stuff. You can jump out of the water. This one's pretty funny. I've done it. You can grab a person or some kind of sea life. You can jump out of the water. You can aim at something. You can tail whip and hit the thing, and then stun both the thing you're tail whipping, like the item towards, and the thing the item hits. So you can like tail whip a human at the driver of a boat and like stun the boat, and then jump on the boat and like eat the people on it and stuff like that. So it's just never ending wackiness. It's like, you know what? It's probably better to say like if Saints Row became a shark game. That's probably like the best way to explain it. So.
People love Saints Row. That's why we're getting a remaster trilogy.
Yep.
Oh, no, of the third.
Just 3.
Just 3, that's right. Yeah.
Should have been 2, but we're getting 3. So what are you going to do? But yeah, that's what I've been playing. I couldn't wait. Nice. I'm actually like, for the first time in a long time, I bought a game. I've played the crap out of it, and like I'm enjoying it.
Doesn't it feel good? Aren't video games great, Dan?
They are, because normally I'm like, yeah, I put in another 20 hours in Assetto Corsa. That's it. Yeah. Like,
but where did it get you?
I've got my esports contract, baby. I've got my esports contract. It's coming any day now. So what have you been playing, Ross?
Didn't you want to talk about a driving thing?
No, we don't have to. We don't have to talk about it. It's fine. I'll cover it on the Direct Drive podcast. You can find it everywhere podcasts are. I talk all things sim racing.
So, when you ask what I've been playing, what did we talk about last episode, Dan? A game getting remastered. The first and the second.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Did you go back and start playing old Tony Hawk's?
No, I went and did better. So, as I said, I do not care about Tony Hawk coming back. I don't want it. I want Skate
Oh, you
4.
played Skate.
No, even better.
No. Damn.
There is a early access game on Steam right now called Session, and it is essentially a spiritual successor to Skate and has kind of similar controls, but not really. It's a lot more in-depth. But it's the same idea as Skate, where kind of like you have an open world, you skate around, whatever. But like the tricks are super realistic, so the default control style is kind of weird, but basically each analog stick controls a leg. So if you want to do like it's like real skateboarding where even doing an ollie feels like an accomplishment, right?
Geez.
So it's like you hold back on the right stick and then you flick the left stick up and then you got to like do the landing. And then if you want to do actual flip tricks, you have to move the analog sticks in particular ways to actually flip the board correctly, and it's fun. But it's the type of skateboarding game where, like I said, doing the most basic stuff is actually cool. And it's not, oh, I did a 720 Christ air over the helicopter to get the tape in the last letter in Skate. I don't know. That just like doesn't appeal to me. Like, yeah, I'll probably play Tony Hawk, but I won't kind of like the more realistic stuff.
I want to launch. The reason I like Tony Hawk is because you can like, I remember doing this as a kid. You can launch off a huge like ramp and you can go like this on the face of your controller.
Yeah.
And then you come down and you get 3,000, 100,000 bajillion in 1 points.
Yeah.
And like you didn't do anything. You just like rubbed all the face buttons, but and held left so you spin, you know, and like you get just a bunch of points. So, but that's cool. I had seen that Session game.
It's really fun. I've had it for a while.
Oh.
But I just decided to play it again because it was weird. It's like it came out in December and then they didn't update it until like March.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't see anything about it until that update, and it wasn't that long ago. So, all right.
But I'm probably gonna go play that right now. Actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna go finish that shark game, Man Eater.
Damn.
So typical end of episode stuff. 5-star like bell thing. Do the stuff that makes us happy.
Yeah.
And makes you happy too.
Makes me happy.
We got some good reviews. I got a new review. It was like, hey, can you publish the after show? I was like, why would you want to?
What?
Yeah, one of the reviews was like, I stumbled across this on Twitch or whatever, or that at least that's the implication of it. And it was like, the after show is fun. Can you publish that as an audio podcast? I was like,
an audio podcast where we sit and watch a video and talk about it? That doesn't make sense.
I was like, some of them where we discuss stuff would make sense. Other ones,
like where we watch the match. Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, I have a video for you to watch for the app.
Awesome. So we'll do all that stuff. We're gonna go and switch to the after show. So if you're watching, you can stick around. If you are listening, thank you, and we'll talk with you next week.
Take care.